always, appreciate you guys coming out, and all the fans that came out to support us today. This was one of those, how every practice you get to teach and learn, and this was a Big Ten game in November for us today. I brought Pastor Jenkins and Pastor Battle here to be the head coaches, and I tried to order some sun a week ago. I asked for a perfect sunny day. I brought both pastors here to lead the teams, and I guess God doesn't like me right now. I got to figure out why, so I'll go to church tomorrow and figure out what's going on. But no, I appreciate the people that came out today and supported us through the weather, and we made the most of it. It was a productive spring. The spring game is the culmination of the work we put in the past 14 practices, and I like the way that it ended. Most importantly for us is a healthy team. We didn't have any major injuries this spring that for guys that we're counting on, and that's big. I saw some good things today. I think we got about 108 total plays in, and to me that's some good work for a spring game. It was about running, blocking, tackling, catching, and throwing the football, the fundamentals. Didn't try to game plan, and I think what you saw is what has happened all spring. I see a defensive side of the ball that has created a lot of depth. You look at what we did on defense a year ago, we took some steps forward, and I see us now, when you look at the two different defenses today, they both kind of played about the same, and that's a testament to the work that Brian Williams and coaches are and all those guys on that side of the ball, Lance Thompson, Zach, and JT have done. And then on offense, I think you saw that we've got some guys on the offensive side of the ball, a young running back was really bright all spring, Nolan Ray, Kobe McDonald, who's been really consistent, and Roman Hemby, who we saw in a limited capacity today, but Roman really has had a great spring working on some of the things that we needed to see for him to take the next step. Our players are now getting some well-earned time off, get away. We'll have our end-of-the-year meetings here in the next couple of weeks, and they hit final exams, and they go into their discretionary period where they'll kind of rest, get their bodies healthy, and to be ready back here in June to start our summer preparation heading into the season. Lastly, as of right now, at least what I've found coming up here, we've got to congratulate draft picks thus far. DJ Glaze being drafted yesterday, and Tarheeb Steele going today. And, I can't say enough about those two type of guys, man. They are what the Maryland football brand has become. Two guys that, weren't probably 5 stars, but through the evaluation process, you saw a guy in Tarheeb who in high school was a talented receiver, had the skill set, and it transferred over. Has played just about, from the time he got off that yellow school bus, he's been out there playing for us and has earned the opportunity to play at the next level. And then with DJ, a guy that had high school injuries, maybe why some people backed off of him. We believed in what we saw out of him, and to see a guy that, was a low 3-star evaluation, I guess, through some of those people you guys work for, but he gets drafted in the 3rd round, and I think it's a testament to the job that our coaches like Brian Braswell has done in their development. And so I want to congratulate both those guys, and hopefully we hear a few more names here throughout the rest of the day as this draft winds down. With that, I'll open it up to questions.
Hey, Mike, where does the quarterback competition stand at this point, and what will you be looking for in the fall as you move toward naming the starter?
Yeah, I mean, what we've tried to do is we've created some competitive situations even today, with the score being lopsided, to see us try to continue to work a 2-minute drive. We continue to put them in situational football situations to see how they respond and how they are able to perform. We're a long ways away from naming a starter. As you can see, the competition is, it's hard to tell. They're all talented. They all made some plays. They all made some mistakes, but what I've tried to get now back in that room is them understanding every play won't be a touchdown. And we always talk about the guy that wins the job has to have the mind of a coach, but the skill set of a player. And that's what it ultimately is going to come down to, because as a coach, there's down and distance situations, there's placement of the ball on the field situations, there's turnovers, how you react after a turnover. And I want to see those guys play quarterback. And to me, playing quarterback is understanding big picture, when to attack, be risk adverse. And I saw some guys take steps today. All of those guys that played today took some steps forward. We'll get to watch the film and then be able to evaluate, and we'll progress this competition through the summer.
help him in that kind of in the competition?
I mean, just because he's played in games, his toolbox has a few more tools than maybe some of the other guys. You know, MJ's played some ball too, so I think if you look at the toolboxes of some of the competitors, Billy and MJ, obviously with game experience, it's invaluable. You know, I'm gonna just tell you, we got to get used to. You're going to have to fail a little bit, and you're going to make mistakes, and guys are not going to make plays. And I always say, man, it's the lesson of failing is get the lesson. And every time one of these quarterbacks performs and they don't perform at the level they expect, we got to take the lesson and then you build your toolbox up. So both those guys have experience in games. Cam has played in a game or two, but and that gives them maybe a little advantage. But a guy like MJ is just learning this system. And so what you see today isn't necessarily what the finished product should look like come August as we compete.
Hey, Coach.
Brandon, what's up?
What's up? Isaac Bunyan moving from defensive line to offensive line. What have you seen from him throughout spring? What did you see from him throughout spring ball?
Well, I think the big thing is Isaac is a guy that has contributed. He came here as a walk-on. Everything he's gotten, he's earned. He started on the defensive side of the ball. I think Isaac Bunyan has a chance to play at the next level. He's one of those great stories you'll read about. And I think having done this a long time, been through a lot of NFL drafts, seen guys get drafted, in my opinion, Isaac gives himself a chance to play at the next level as an offensive lineman. This isn't complete yet. We moved him over this spring to kind of help us get through it. We'll evaluate it, but I've never asked a kid to play a position they don't want to play. So, you know, Isaac's going to have to make a decision if he thinks he feels best to help us and develop on the offensive side of the ball, or if maybe he decides to go back on the other side. And it'll be his choice. But it was good to see him and be able to put it on film this spring. Again, something I learned from being at Bama. You know, for 2 springs in a row, Devontae Smith, who won the Heisman Trophy as a receiver, they played him at corner. Coach Saban moved him over to corner halfway through spring ball, and I'm the offensive coordinator like, you're taking my guy and putting it. But this is the time of the year to make these type of decisions, and, you know, it's looked really good to me. He's been uncomfortable, which playing a new position is that. But I think he's got a bright future if that's the side he decides. And I'm recruiting him a little bit, so let's make sure y'all right about this, all right?
Hey, Mike.
What's up, George?
Not much. Nolan Ray today, 119 all-purpose yards. You guys continued just to increase depth in that running back room. How impressed were you with his performance?
I mean, 25 is a guy that I have every week I say this, and, you know, there's always guys that pop up. And, you know, a year ago he would have been one of those guys in the mix, but he dealt with some health issues that we got fixed. And it's a testament to our medical staff to be able to work, you know, with his parents and figure out how to get him back on the field. And to see him out on the field today, and you guys finally got a glimpse of what we have seen from the day he's got here. He's a big play threat. He's got great vision, balance, body control. Looks like a few of these Big Ten running backs that we've had around here that I think will be a guy that people will take notice to this year.
And if I could add, you mentioned defense. Kiari James, pick 6 early on in that game. Is that part of why?
Terrible throw, man. Come on, man.
I know.
All right.
But in terms of him being an early enrollee guy, is that why you like seeing those guys get here to get acclimated as soon as possible?
You know, we're a high school team. We're going to recruit high school players like Kiari. Guys, you know, he's from Canada, moved to Florida because he wanted to play American football, and we're going to develop him, man. Lance Thompson is one of the best linebacker coaches in the country. You see guys like Caleb Wheatland developing, Ruben coming along. Kiari, I think, has a bright future. He's still learning the game, but his natural talent, the instincts kind of showed up today. I was good to see it. But that is exactly why you want to bring these high school guys in early, because I don't have 2-3 years to build a team. I've got to build one every single year, and we've got to speed up the growth process of the young players if we're going to be a team that recruits high school kids, which we are.
Hey, Coach Locksley, Emil Harris, Washington Informer.
Informer, what's up?
It's good to see you. But anyway, you thought about Keith Pastor Jenkins being there. I know you're a man of faith. Was that Zion? How important was that? And again, it's not just showing up today. You go every Sunday, and also you have players go. How important is that faith component?
You know, I'm a superstitious guy, man. I just think if you live your life right, that good things happen. That's why I'm a little disappointed I ain't get no son. So I got to reevaluate, like, what I'm doing. And so, but no, man, to have 2 pillars in this community, like a Pastor Jenkins and a Pastor Battle, who, you know, I've been to both their churches. My dad's a member of First Baptist Church of Glen Arden. Because of the location of Zion, Greenbelt, a bunch of our players, I think back to, and there's a story about Vontae Davis, who I recruited out of Dunbar, D.C., and my taking players to church started with Miss Adeline, Grandma Adeline, who raised Vontae and Vernon. I recruited Vernon to Maryland, and she said, well, I thought you said Maryland's the place. And then I took Vontae to Illinois, and she said, well, if he coming out there, he got to go to church every Sunday, Coach. You know how I am. And so for every Sunday that Vontae Davis went to Illinois, I had to take him to church. And I wasn't a guy that went every Sunday before. But because I sat in her living room and told her I would, I did. And it became a thing to where after the first time I took him, a bunch of players started saying, Coach, I want to go to church. I want to go to church. And next thing I know, we've got 35, 40 players going to church, and Illinois goes to the Rose Bowl. So I'm telling you, we're taking the next step, and part of that next step is maybe creating a team that has a foundation behind the faith. And Pastor Jenkins, Pastor Battle have been really supportive of us in recruiting. Grandma still want to know, like, my son going to be taken care of. Well, that's part of it, and that's something that may be a little different for others, but for me, it's part of the process. If I sit on your couch and tell you I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Mike, based on, like you said, the uncertainty of quarterback and the defense returning 2 interceptions for touchdowns, is there a part of you that thinks that you may have to lean on the defense to kind of set the tone when the season begins so that the offense can catch up?
Yeah, every year I have to evaluate what type of team we're going to be, and I have no problem with winning ugly. I have no problem with if our defense shutting people out and we take care of the football, it happens. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, we recruit really talented offensive players, so what the finished product of what you saw today won't be anywhere close to what it looks like, and it's easy to kind of make assumptions based on the spring game. We had a very limited game plan. Our defense is the strength of our team right now, and as it should be. And our offense has had to carry us some of the early years maybe in this system that we've put in here. But I love the way this team is starting to develop. If you look at us when we walk out the tunnel, our offensive line, our defensive line looks like a Big Ten offensive line, defensive line, and that's half the battle. And now we've got to just continue to develop them. We'll figure out the quarterback, man. We got talented players in that room. I got faith in Josh Gaddis and our offensive staff that, we'll find ways to move the ball as we always have here, and we've got good skill, and I like the way that the offensive line is coming along, and we'll see how it goes as we progress through the summer.
Mike, good to see you.
What's up, Emmett?
Doing well. Speaking of the battle there in the trenches, you mentioned offensive and defensive line looking like Big Ten groups. What is it about those groups that excites you and leads you to that statement?
I just think when you look at their development, man, when you got that white defensive line that had guys like Dylan Fontes, typically LaVon Johnson will be out there, Daniel Owens, we created depth, and in the Big Ten, what we found, and when we've had trouble, it's in the middle of the year, we get banged up, we play a tough schedule in the Big Ten because we play 9 Big Ten games, unlike some of the other leagues, and so we bang each other up, and to be able to create depth in the trenches has been the missing piece, and we've had some great players leave this area that play in the trenches, so we put an emphasis in it. One of the reasons why I went back to the quarterback room, because it gave me a chance to hire a guy like Robo. And now we've got 2 O-line coaches that allow us to develop the offensive line faster because we're recruiting high school linemen.
Mike, you hired Brian Ferez to be a offensive assistant analyst. What can he bring, and then how do you expect him maybe to help out in terms of determining a quarterback?
Well, it's grandma chocolate chip cookie recipe, man. Nick Saban's, he had the school for wayward boys, but no, having Brian here, he's like any other analyst. He brings something that I like, and anywhere he's been a part of running the football. All right, what we do is what we do. He's coming in as an analyst. He'll make suggestions. He'll have the ability to, but he had a skill that I liked. The emphasis for me is how do we develop the run game on offense. To have a Brian Ferentz who has been a part of some of the best offensive lines and some of the best run games, giving ideas. How they did it to add to some of the stuff we already do. It's a win for me, man, and he came cheap. Thanks very much.